Welcome to Tech Talk Live. I am your host, Wes Sneed, and my amazing co host, Ashley Kinney, is here now. It's amazing. She's an amazing person. Go ahead, Ashley. Tell us about yourself.
Thanks for having me, Wes. It's exciting to be here. And we are at Your Web Guys podcast studio and happy to help on the web development questions, image and brand consulting, and those questions that you're just not sure about on web design and branding, your image itself, and who to connect with and why.
Yes. And I was at their office yesterday and found out her husband, which builds all the stuff and is the brains behind it, he knows quite a bit about SEO and has studied on it quite a bit. So if you need SEO help, they're your people too. Definitely with SEO. SEO is very important if you want to be on the Facebook page and higher ranking or YouTube or Yext. There are several search engines out there. There are at least 150 plus. People don't think about that, but there are. You need to be high ranked on that, and they can help. And reach out to them and find out how they can help. They can get your page going up there. If anybody tells you they can get you on the first page within a week, they're lying. They're doing some schemy stuff that will actually probably get you in trouble, and then Facebook and Google and all that probably will kick you off for a while and rate you pretty bad. So keep that in mind. So where are we talking about today, Ashley?
Well, I know what you're talking about, which is a really, really big deal and a really hot topic. So I'm excited to hear what you're talking about, even though I know already.
She does. And it was her idea, actually. And I'm talking about cybersecurity, which to me is very, very important. I know everybody's sick of hearing about it. You hear about it on the news and all that, but it's scary. That's why I want to talk about it. That's why I want to jump into it. And I don't really want to scare you, but I kind of do because it's something that you need to think about and you need to worry about because statistics are very high in cybersecurity. In 2020, it was cybersecurity crimes were up 200%.
Wow,
Can
was
you
that high?
imagine what they went up in 2021? It went up to 400%. 400%.
And everyone's increasing online because of
Yep.
COVID.
Because of COVID and working from home. And there's I guess, the great work from home attitude going on, which I totally understand. I've worked from home for years. I love it. But, you've got to take security into practice because a lot of people don't understand the hackers don't care where you work.
Absolutely not.
No, not at
And
all.
that's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about your brand security. So he's going to talk about cybersecurity, and I'm going to talk about the other side of brand security because you can't have your equipment safe and you can't have your business safe if they're not working together. One hand really washes the other.
Yep.
So this is really fun. We decided this was a really big deal and wanted to talk about it. I'm not sure that you can actually see this, but Your Web Guys, if you can see this domain renewal, super fun, guys. Everyone, take a look at this company. Make sure that you are not giving business to the U.S. Domain Authority. U.S. Domain Authority is not a company. Yep, we're talking about fraudulent domain companies. Ching! And they're on the rise right now because of post COVID. They're ready to take your money.
Of course.
And if you are trying to keep your brand safe, then you know that your domain is your business, it's your livelihood. So everyone will pay whatever amount to keep safe. Do not fall for this stuff. We have companies contact us on a daily basis, different ones spoofing, trying to pretend and take money. And it's not just mail, it's email. You'll get them on, I know everyone's got them on Facebook Messenger. I think there's like an extra fee that people are paying to be on there to do that because
Really.
it's all over internationally. I know Christmas
Mhm.
time was a huge international hit, and thank goodness that slowed down. But it's always an issue, unfortunately, that people are hitting. And if they steal your domain, then they are stealing your livelihood. You cannot get back your domain. We've got your web guys. It's your hyphen web hyphen guys.com. So it's extremely unique. We've also got your webguys.net, and we do not have your webguys.com because there's someone that's been squatting on that one. And the domain, we just don't feel like buying it for 5K.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
think about that when we're talking about branding just before we hopped on, right, Wes?
Yeah, totally, 100% talking about branding. And one of the things I do is I remember where I bought my domain from,
Exactly.
and if the email's not coming from them, then it's not legit. And even at that point, I get my domains from Google. That's just where I do. I've been getting them from. There's many places you can get them from. You can get them from GoDaddy. You can get them from tons of different companies. Won't list them all, but you get an email saying this, and this. I see the email come in. I don't even pay attention to the email. I actually go to the website, google.com/domains, look at my domain, and see if it's up for renewal.
Got it.
That's the safest way is do your own due diligence. And if you got a letter like Ashley did, you've got Google. You're on Google all day long. Why not Google the company? Look at the reviews. And if you're like, I didn't buy my domain from them, then how would they have your domain? I mean,
Right.
it's kind of like the way I like to explain domains is kind of like your phone number. Somebody owns it, you own it, you lease it, however you want to look at it. They can't have it. If you would have, say, sent them a check and signed that, then you would have signed your domain over to them.
Well, and you wouldn't pay someone else's mortgage if there's a company saying, please pay your mortgage.
Yeah.
Then you wouldn't pay a mortgage company that you didn't own your note to. So just make sure you're looking pretty safely, and also make sure you're not opening those broken links or photos that people don't know about. But back to the branding. So make sure your domain is intact. You choose one that's relative on creating your company. It's something that's parallel. It's going to be your vision, and your web guys really fit us. It was funny because Richard and I started the company. We have 10 employees, so it's not just us. But your web guys, it was so funny because we grew up in the 80s. I know not everyone was from the 80s.
Yep.
Hi, younger people. There's a fun movie that everyone needs to go back in the zeitgeist, and Ghostbusters. And we were joking whenever we were coming up with names, came up with all kinds of names. But the one that we really agreed with was off of, we came up with it from Ghostbusters, Who You Get a Call. And we were like, you're web guys.
Yeah. It's funny how you come up with your name. I mean, my company name was Out of the Blue. Most people don't understand it, and I get that, and I'm totally okay with that. I mean, my favorite color is blue, and TAC stands for Technical Assistance Center. That's what I do. I provide technical assistance. Most people don't understand that, and one of the things I was like, I'd like to have blue TAC or blue tech or blue PC. All of them were taken. So I was like, yeah, well, this is what we're going to go with, Blue Tack IT.
Well, and you know what's really funny too, because we'll remember blue tack because it's your favorite color blue. You're wearing blue. It's in your logo. It's who you are, what you do, and your integrity. So that branding that you come up with, you think it's just a fun name. No, it's your whole identity. It's your company. So literally when someone steals your domain, they are stealing your identity. It's actually even worse than stealing your personal identity because it's your living, how you make your money, how people perceive you, how other people that are out there looking for your business,
Mhm.
they are looking for your business and they may think that you're someone else because of that identity that has been stolen on your website and your domain. So it's good to keep a check on that. I know Wes will talk about that one, but keep an eye on that. Whenever you are looking for your domain, creating your company name, your logo, and make sure that your message is genuine. Just be you. Don't fake the stuff. There's no reason for it. Wes likes short sleeve shirts. I like the like mid
Mhm.
length. I like lipstick. He doesn't. Yeah.
I know, right? How dare I? I mean, I don't look good in red lipstick, I guess. So never
It's
mind.
our branding.
Yeah, yeah. Hold it. I want to see all your employees wearing lipstick. I'm going to come by the office tomorrow. I want to see every single one of them. That would be awesome.
Well, that's going to be a tough travel on some of them.
Yeah,
They don't all work here in our office, but
poor guys and
make
girls.
sure make sure you're authentic with your messaging, not just your messaging itself, but whenever you happen to create your business cards, then make sure you have your photo on your business cards because how hard is it going to be for someone else to actually say, oh yeah, that's Ashley Kinney from your web guys, and put their photo on and create the card because we've got our logo, sorry. We're mirror imaging. How hard is it going to be to replicate something like that? It just makes it more difficult whenever you're using your branding on everything. I've also got on my yeah, I'm directionally impaired. I do this with driving too. Be careful. But my logo is on our Oxford shirts for promotionals. If you don't have graphics on your car, that's a traveling billboard. That's another way to market. And good luck if you cover everything and your branding is all there and it's another safety measure having your logo on everything. So think about that. It's not vanity to put your photo on the front of your business card, it's your safety. And also, your very own unique. We started this and we almost stopped, but for fantastic reasons, we started 10 years ago before this was popular. The QR code on the back of our company, and you can see
Mhm.
if you tell it in just the right light, you can see our logo, your web guys.
Yep.
Try and replicate that one. It's difficult. It's easy to change out any kind of color schemes or headshots because we do that in house for image and brand consulting. But that is also an important thing. Keep up with the trends on your security for your branding. Sometimes they need a change. They need an update every few years. Um, but make sure that you're looking at all those things in your networking groups too, so that you can stand apart, stand aside. We think it's super fun to say, hey, we're your web guys. What's up?
Yep.
Uh, Not because we're a guy company, because we're not a guy company. I'm actually the owner of your web guys, and I'm out there daily for
Mhm.
networking and creating everything for our company. Richard is here too. We're partners in crime. It's not something that, but think about that. It's super fun to hear a girl say, "Hey, I'm your web guy." On my card, it actually says something super funny. It says, "Your web gal." Can I see it? Woo! I did it backwards again. It says "your web gal" on there,
That's
so
funny.
it's a really cool. It's marked out "your web guy,"
Yeah.
and it's just a funny conversation starter. I don't have to say anything. People say that, but
Yep.
I do know the first thing is you're a girl, and it says "your web guys." Where's
Nice.
the owner? That's me. I'm the
Yep.
owner.
Yeah. And I think that brings out an excellent point. It doesn't really matter what you name your company, it's how you promote your brand.
Exactly. And that's just a very authentic thing to think about. Make sure your messages are clear. Again, we always put our logos on I'm so bad at this. I'm sorry. Um, we always put our logo on everything. What you will find, and we love this about West too, the message is clear. There are no hidden fees. There's not going to be an extra charge. You're going to know up front what costs are. So we actually have our packages written out here whenever you come in for an appointment. And then there's no way things can be misconstrued. Be clear, be open. Why would you hide your stuff? Don't you want business? If you do business with people you know, like, and trust, then why would you hide your information? It's just best to be open. It saves everyone a lot of time. And we have all of our processes. So we simplify everything on here. So it's clear. And we really like having the information available that we can refer out. That's our business model because we like making sure that everything is secure and trusted, and that's our brand in a nutshell. And make sure that whenever you're looking for networking groups, that they are groups that are not just about the money, writing down leads, but if you're a web design company or you're an IT company or you happen to be a makeup artist, make sure you find your correct synergy partners. And it doesn't matter if they're a good synergy partner if they're not a good moral partner. So it's got to be intact. That's one of the things that Wes and I agreed on right away whenever we met. Then it's like, that's a good dude.
Yep.
Just spoke human. He didn't speak geek, which is so hard in IT. Thank you. I just find it really disrespectful, especially as a female, that men assume that I know nothing about technology. And I'm not the person in the room that's going to shout out that I know everything. I usually am pretty observant. I'll make my own judgments quietly. It's just my background. I read body language. Make sure that you're doing that. If you're not reading body language, then you're not doing your best brand reputability and accountability. And people will not want to be a synergy partner with you as well. So keep yourself secure, keep your brand secure, and keep your partners secure because that keeps your accountability partners and synergy partners safe whenever you have best practices that you follow.
Yes. And
Anyway,
it's really hard too because that was my thing is I've probably known Ashley about a year. And as I got to know her, it was one of those things. Are they sketchy? Are they not sketchy? Let me get to know them. Because if I'm going to partner with somebody, I'm going to know, like, and trust them even more than I do my clients. And one of the things most business people don't understand is when you go in to work with a new client, you're interviewing them too to see if you want to attach your name to them. Because if they are shady and you attach your name to them and something goes wrong, that can bring down your brand and your image because how many people get put on the news for guilty by association with other companies that they just went in and vacuumed their floors and now all of a sudden your van's sitting down in front of them because you're picking up your equipment and it's on the news. It's like, whoa, they do business with these corrupt companies? Are they just like them? So yeah, brand is very important in keeping it secure.
yeah, and keep in mind too. That's another really good point. Was so business is business. Business is professional. Yes, we know, like, and trust. However, I really feel that it was a good eye opener for other people. We realized it years ago that Facebook was not 100% business and probably not going to be up there forever. That's why you have your own website and you own it with us from day one. Your web guys. With other companies, that's not necessarily true. So you're building someone else's brand, and whenever you are going to groups that are social media, make sure you're making your best judgment. Are you going to be on Facebook because it's a social group? Are you going to be on LinkedIn because it's a business? Are you going to be on Alignable because it's a more intimate business setting? Are you going to be the instant gratification for Insta? Are you going to be the tweeter that makes a quick snippet snap judgment, not researches necessarily, but relevant to news and goes kind of off tangents? So think about that for your brand identity in your company, because if it's not in measurement with you, and we're kind of weird with your web guys because I have 4 different ones that I go under. I've got your web guys, I've got Kenny Studios, Business Accelerator, and Ashley Kinney. People know me under all of those umbrellas. It feeds through traffic. I would never ever just go Ashley Kinney. That doesn't make sense. But all 4 of those brands are interrelated to me. So I do feed, I'm not supposed to do this. I do feed from my personal page, and I have
Right.
everything listed on there. That's kind of a backward way to do it, but I had so much of a following already that it made sense to me and it worked for me. However, other companies are different, other people are different, and staying true to your brand is different. If it's not a good business move for you, don't stick on Facebook. It definitely should not be your only placement. And you can't just sit in hiding. You have to go out in public. We're here today, but as Wes said, he came to the launch last night. Thank you for coming. And we do that monthly so that we can encourage you guys. We want the visibility for your companies. We want you to succeed. He wants your equipment to work properly. We want your equipment for your website to work properly. We want you to make more money that works well. And we're just good people trying to look out for you, some education. So if you've not come up with questions for next week, then you should. Also, Wes has got part 2 of cybersecurity this Saturday at Business Accelerator. So you guys will need to hop on and listen to part 2 for cybersecurity. I'm done with the branding stuff. Ashley Kinney, your web guys, and thanks for having me on.
Yeah, definitely. And let's jump into the cybersecurity. And this is the scary part. And I'm sorry to scare everybody, but sometimes the truth hurts.
Teach me, Sensei.
If it will share my screen. All right, there we go. Hopefully everybody can see the screen. So welcome to cybersecurity. This is Understanding Cybersecurity. I will tell you the tech terms, and then I will reword it for the simple, easy to understand. So what is cybersecurity? There are several things with cybersecurity that you need to understand, and it's just not one thing fits all. So what exactly is cybersecurity? It is the practice of protecting your systems, your networks, and your programs from attacks. What does that mean? Let's break it down. Your systems, that would be your laptop, your PC, your Mac. Why did I just throw Mac in there? Everybody assumes that just because I have a Mac, I'm secure. That's not true anymore. Thousands of people have Macs. There are people out there making vulnerabilities for Macs now. It used to be true probably about 15 years ago. It is no longer true anymore. So, cybersecurity has everything to do with your devices. It has to do with your firewall, if you've heard of firewalls. There are 2 types of firewalls. We'll go into that a little bit later, but there are 2 types, and it can't be one's going to keep you more secure than the other. You have to kind of take a layered approach and have both. So, not only is cybersecurity about your networks and your actual hardware devices like your phones and your laptops and desktops, it's about your digital stuff, your digital files. So, for example, Kenny Studios, they have a lot of digital files. If they got attacked, that would be against their digital lifestyle. That would be everything that's stored in the cloud. Everybody uses Dropbox, that would be your digital life. Everybody uses Google Drive. That would be your digital life. Are they safe and secure? They probably are, but there is no 100%, unfortunately, in cybersecurity. What types of cybersecurity are there? So there are 7 main types of threats for cybersecurity. One is malware. Malware is easy and simple to explain, is any software that spies on your device. So anything that can see your desktop remotely, anything that can look at what you're looking at. Also included in malware is ransomware. Ransomware has been very rapid in this world now because of the industries and all of that. Not too long ago, Dallas ISD school system got attacked by ransomware. What does that do? Ransomware is easy and simple to explain. We'll go into that more, but it is part of malware. And also, there are viruses and worms. That is part of your malware. So that's kind of like a broad stroke to describe all the different things that can happen to your computer that is a security threat. Not only could it happen to your computer, it could happen to your phone, it could happen on your printers, it can happen on any device that is connected to the internet. Used to be true is if they had a laptop that was called air gapped, so it had never been connected to the internet, you didn't have to worry about it. And you knew you were 100% safe. Well, that is still true to a point. The point is this: you never plug anything else into it. So never a USB drive, nothing. Well, at that point, then the laptop desktop is completely pointless to be using because the whole fact that you've got to get the files off of it somehow if you're using it. So air gap really isn't the best way anymore. All right. This is the Emotech. Emotech is a very scary one, and it has to do more with the banking industry just for the fact that that's who it affected the most. We'll go into it more. There is kind of an example on the screen of what it is. It is a Trojan horse. Basically, what that is it goes in to your computer, your desktop, laptop, phone, tablet, any device you have, and it looks like something it's not. That actually happened about 5 years ago in the banking industry, and it cost the banking industry billions of dollars. And they are not still, and this happened 2008 ish. They are still finding where it disrupted stuff years and years and years later. Keep that in mind. It is still costing the banking industry money because of that Trojan horse that got installed on a device and it went across the entire banking industry because a lot of those systems are connected. So once it gets in there, it can go anywhere it wants.
Oh, and remember too, this is a big thing that if you post anything on the net, that
Mhm.
stuff does not come off. It's on there permanently.
Yes, and
Think wisely.
that's the scary thing is everything is there. Um, I used to work for a different employer before I started my business, and I would actually go in and talk with people about what they posted. And every younger kid uses Snapchat, and they think, okay, well, after you view the picture, it's gone. There are programs where you can sit there and watch that chat go across the network and download it and save it. If you don't think Snapchat keeps a copy of that, you are very mistaken. And that is scary
Yeah.
that you think that there's not always a copy.
Or Facebook. I mean,
Yes, any social media, anything you put on the web is always going to be there. There are websites that all they do is scan the World Wide Web to back stuff up and to make copies of stuff. So if you take something down, it still could pop up years later.
I
The
bet
next,
kids. I bet kids that they were rejected from colleges and
Mhm.
from jobs because they were my Boy Scout kids, and back in the day when Facebook became popular, back in like the mid 2008 2005, then they actually were just doing all kinds of pictures on Facebook. It was super fun, and not only that, but those pictures now are being used by other people that are emulating them for that cybersecurity. The second part of that is they were rejected from universities because they thought it was super funny to moon people. Boys will be boys. It's a thing.
Nope.
college kids, and then there were kids that were rejected for jobs because they didn't think about those things. So, and make sure you. That's the other thing too. We have one of the things in Scouts that I do love. We've got a cyber chip, so the kids always have to do youth protection. Parents take youth protection, and then we've got a cyber chip for security. Sorry, I just had to throw that out there. It's a different realm altogether, but for kids' safety, even if you're not going to think about safety for yourself, which I hope you are, then it affects not only businesses, but it affects your family and your kids. So think about that for cybersecurity.
Yeah, and the number one thing with cybersecurity is safety. It does not matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you're just a business. It doesn't matter. You need to take care of every device on your system because you, as a parent, you're responsible for your kid. And if they're getting to inappropriate things or text messages, what honestly, yeah, it's somewhat their fault, but it's your fault for not protecting them.
I've
That's
got
your
kids.
job.
You know what? I actually just heard this like a week ago. I have to tell you, it was something appalling. One of my good friends, she's got a kiddo that is now turning 18, a little girl. I've known her since she was 5. So really, really good friend. The cybersecurity, that's for real. She's allowed her to have a Facebook since she was like 12. Not my thing, not my gig, whatever. Just make sure you're monitoring it.
Yes.
So
And what's nice about those security is there's apps out there that you can look at and you can use where you can monitor what they're doing, what they're seeing, what they're not seeing, what websites they're trying to go to. And some of them even come to the fact that you can pre approve stuff. Or if
mhm.
they try to go to something, you'll get an alert on your phone and it's like, well, why are they trying to do that? Unfortunately, most people don't understand this is your firewall, aka your modem that your internet service provider gives to you, has a firewall built into it, but it is usually not strong enough to do what type of security you need for your kids and really for your business. If you're working from home and you are not securing your data and all of that, that's very, very scary. Because if you look at the best analogy I've found is it's like if you open up a restaurant. Are you going to use your home appliances in a restaurant? No. So why would you use a home built firewall for your business?
So the friend's little girl I was telling you about, she had told me a week ago, she showed me some messages and she's like, "What do I do?" I said, "Does your mom know about this?" And she comes to me confidentially. She doesn't talk to her mom. Kids are that way. And she just knows that I'm like a close, even though I'm a friend, I've known her for so long, I'm kind of like family.
Yep.
So she showed me these messages coming off of Facebook private messenger, and she's getting these pictures. Of course, girls, we were kind of stuck. Being female, older, younger, doesn't matter. Um, Sometimes we're just victimized by men. Whenever it happens to come to online stuff, unfortunately, she is not quite 18, and she didn't know how to deal with these things. As adults, we do, and they were sending her naughty pictures. They were telling her that they wanted to go out and do things, and we're talking like men that are in their 50s.
Yep.
And it was, she showed me the list of people that were, it was like, "Why aren't you talking to your mom about this?" And she's like, "It's really embarrassing." And I told him she thought it was funny. She didn't realize how serious it was.
Yes.
She said, "Well, you're gonna show me your stuff, so yeah, I'll go ahead and show you mine," and joked about it. And she copied a picture from the net and was like, "This isn't funny. This is very serious." And now they know how to get a hold of you. You
Yep.
responded and they can track you now, sweetie. We've got to talk to your mommy now.
Yep, and that's the scary thing that most people don't understand and don't think about is they can track you. And if you don't have certain things in place, they'll show up at your front door. And it's happened. You're not alone.
The online gaming too. We don't have online gaming for our kiddos just because they're you don't know the age of predators. They don't come with a facial identity. There's not a big sign that says, "Hey, I'm a predator." There's not something like that.
Mhm.
With the online games, then if my kids wind up playing an online game, which is very rarely, then it's a prepaid card that we will get from the store, and they'll only play with us,
Mhm.
and we're monitoring. There have been know about the games your kids are playing.
Mhm.
What there were some games that kids were playing, and they had dark shadows and killing and bloody, and we're talking little people. I don't know if you want that stuff in their head, but if you don't know what games they're playing, and if you're not looking in their browser history and you're not monitoring, that cybersecurity is huge. We just got Kindle Fires, by the way, because our kids are doing assignments and some of the things. We don't want them to have a full-fledged tablet or a full-fledged laptop for these things, but there are some things that they do have to do online, and we're still monitoring. But the Kindle Fire has the child safety locks on there, so we have some extra protection on those, and that's why they play commercials, so the kids don't want to watch them all the time, which is great.
Yeah, yeah. And the scary thing is some of those commercials can get pretty bad.
Yeah,
And that, for example, Facebook or whoever's running the commercials, um, they don't,
YouTube is horrible.
yeah, they don't really care as long as you're paying them their money.
Mhm.
They don't care. It could be a dating ad. Well, you're a 13-year-old or 5-year-old or whatever. Does not need to see a dating ad. I mean, they're not dating, and if they are, you've got issues. But anyway,
Oh, I did find out about an anime the other day. One
yes,
of the kids from my kiddo's school was in the fifth grade, and they were like, "Oh yeah, this is a great anime."
yeah,
And we looked at that and was like, "Okay, I'm glad I
mhm,
know what's going on." But it was a friend of theirs, and the anime had a whole lot of graphic stuff. It was on YouTube and under the kids channel too.
yep.
So don't be fooled by that stuff.
No, because I mean, on YouTube you can upload anything, and you click on a box that says, "Is this made for kids or not?"
Mhm.
They're not checking. They should be, but they're not. They don't have a legal requirement to check it. So why
Anime is
would
not just for kids either.
you?
We quickly learned that one. Gross.
Yes. All right, let's jump back into it. Denial of service. What is that? It's easy and simple, very scary. But if you, for an example, if you're ever at home, or if you're ever at work or something along the lines of that, and you notice your network starts slowing down, or you're trying to go to a website and it was working just fine 10 minutes ago and then it started slowing down, it could be getting attacked by denial of service. Basically, all that is, the easiest way to explain that is it's like someone using an auto dialer and calling you thousands of times a minute. That's
Mm,
all it is. They're calling that IP address, or they're, in tech language, pinging that IP address millions and millions of times. Most of the time, denial of service attacks are actually done by multiple computers at one time. What that is meant to do is actually overload the network and cause it to crash so your systems don't work. So that is a denial of service attack. It happens quite often. It is probably the most common attack there is out there because it's so easy and so simple that almost anybody can do it in about 5 seconds, because all you got to do is open up a browser, type in ping and the IP address, and you're done. I mean, it is easy, simple, easy. All right, man in the middle attack. No, it's not a person actually in the middle. What a man in the middle attack is basically, let's look at it like this. You are at McDonald's and you are getting on their Wi-Fi. So the first thing you've got to do is get on their Wi-Fi. Well, what a man in the middle does is it acts like McDonald's Wi-Fi and tells you it's McDonald's Wi-Fi. And then you get on that network that's not really McDonald's Wi-Fi, and you're on a hacker's network, and he's reading everything you're putting in. So passwords, websites you're going to, addresses, everything you enter, he is actually seeing before the website sees it, and then he'll pass it on to the website. So you're still going to be able to go to the websites you want to, but he's reading everything in between. One of the easiest ways to stop man in the middle attacks is use a VPN. We'll go into what a VPN is in part 2, but a VPN is a very useful tool that secures your internet traffic. The easiest way I can explain it is picture your internet traffic like a letter that you send out in the mail. And basically what a VPN does is it wraps it in a safe so that nobody can open it or own it or do anything to it. They can see that the traffic is going out, but they can't do anything with it. It uses highly military grade encryption, and I won't go into all the encryption, but the average time to open that letter that's in the safe is about 2,000 years. So the hackers are not going to take the time because they're not going to be alive that long to try to open that packet. They're going to move on to somebody else that's not using a VPN. So man in the middle is not just something to kid around with. If you are on public Wi-Fi, you are unsecure, 100% unsecure unless you're using a VPN. I don't care if you know the owner of the restaurant. It doesn't matter because I could have gotten on their Wi-Fi and being monitoring it out in the parking lot and you would never know it. Or I could have hacked into their Wi-Fi earlier and be sitting at home and set up a remote connection and watch all the traffic going across it. So if you're not using a VPN on a public network, then be very, very leery of what websites you're going to because they can read and see everything you do. Take into account also when you're on public Wi-Fi and maybe you're only going to game websites or something along the lines of that, your phone is still going to other websites. It is still getting emails and it is still asking for emails. Well, your password has to be transmitted to get those emails. Your phone is automatically transferring those numbers and information so they could still get it. All right, so we are going to jump into phishing. Phishing is easy and simple. It's not what everybody thinks. It's not sitting on a dock or in a boat trying to get information. Phishing is very, very common, and it is such as a trick that I have seen happen many, many times before. And one of the best examples I can point out is an email that was sent to someone sent to the accounting office saying, hey, you need to transfer $25,000 to this account, blah, blah, blah. It looked like it came from the email address it was supposed to. It looked like his signature. It looked like everything it was supposed to. But when you actually looked at the email address, it wasn't .com, it was .net. So phishing attacks are kind of like that, where they spoof your information or take your information. I know everybody's seen those Facebook posts or where you're getting a new friend request from somebody you already know. That's usually a phishing attack. That's usually them trying to find out information about you so that they can carry out an attack. Another example.
Didn't you get one from your mom the other day?
I did.
Yeah.
I got one from my mom and from my aunt. Funny thing about the one from my aunt is she offered to give me $50,000.
Good.
I was cracking up. I was like, well, tonight at dinner, why don't you give me that check? And silence. They never said another word. Yeah, it was quite funny. Very, very funny. So the issue is for them to get data. They're trying to get you to tell them something. Also keep in mind, then this is just kind of a pro tip about phishing, is look at your website. On your website, you've got your contact information. You got your first name, your last name, your phone number, your email address. Here's the scary part, and most people don't think about it, is most usernames that you use is your email address. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm not saying do it. I'm saying be very, very cautious, because at that point, they've got 50% of what they need to log into any account that you're using. Now, there are ways to make it safer, but once again, cybersecurity is a later approach and nothing's 100%. So one of the ways to make it safer is have dual authentication. So you get a text message on your phone or through email or something along the lines of that. They also do something called a magic link now, which is kind of like dual authentication, where it confirms that it's you before it lets you in. That's one of the things to make it harder. There are companies now that are coming out with password less or no password needed to log into their sites, because they send you a one-time use password link. I'm kind of on the fence about that, because I don't know how that works. Because in my opinion is, okay, let's say your email's been hacked and they find out that's your account. Well, now they click on that link and now they can log into your account. So that's kind of where I'm on the fence with it. If your email's not hacked, then obviously they're not going to be able to do anything with it or see anything. So that's kind of one of the things. Phishing is very scary. There has been some cases where people actually get a call from in a major company, get a call, and it looks like it's coming from internal. And they're like, hey, I need Bob's email address or something like that. Could be phishing. So be very careful what information you put out there to people, and make sure they're who they say are. And another thing is, if it's an inside line or something like that, say, well, I don't have time right now, call them back. Look them up in your company directory, see if they exist, and then call them back yourself. That's one of the ways to stop phishing. All right, so we're going to jump into number 6, SQL injections. That is something on the server end and on website ends and all of that. The easiest thing you've got to really worry about with that is, unless you're working with servers, you don't really have to worry about SQL injections. Basically, all that is doing is replacing malicious code with new code. Unless, like I said, you're a server admin, website developer, something like that, SQL injections are something you really don't need to worry about, because you don't have the server and you don't have that equipment in your house to have that problem. Next is the password attack. The password attack is one of the most common, and that is easy and simple. Use passwords that are long, at least 12 characters in length, and use random numbers and characters and all of that. Why do I always say use random numbers and characters? Okay, don't know why it's doing that. The reason why I say use random numbers and characters is because there is a type of attack with your password. It is called a brute force attack, where they will actually go through and download a dictionary, Webster's dictionary, and have it paste in every single word and see if that's one of your passwords. And then they will do numbers after the words and continue doing that until they guess your password. Well, if you're using random letters and random characters, you're not going to have that problem. You're not going to have an actual word. And let's just hypothetically say you're going to use food as your password. Please don't ever use food. It's too short. But anyway, if you want to split it up, okay.
Unless you're hungry.
Yeah, good point. Split it up by making a 0 or something along the lines of that. I usually put random characters to start off with. Use capital, use lowercase. That's one of those things that I would highly 100% recommend using a password management system or password app. And if you use one of those password apps, password management, one of the things you need to look at is their security to make sure it's secure. The one I use and that I sell for my business is LastPass. I love it just for the fact that it is considered Zero security, which means I trust them none, they trust me none. So all the devices information is stored on my device. It's not stored on their server. So they can't ever get into it. They can't ever see it because it is zero trust. And that's something you want to look at, is that there is zero trust on that. If I happen to lose my master password, I lose all my passwords. That's the bad side. Is I could literally lose all the access to all my accounts. But do I want that safety and security of having an app that has all my passwords, that auto generates passwords for me, that automatically fills in the passwords so I don't remember them? Yeah, because I've got hundreds of passwords. Well, each one of my passwords for each one of my sites is 100% different. And that's how I'm going to stay safe and secure. Next thing, pro tip right here: do not ever use any information that you can find on social media as your password. No kids' names, no dogs' names, no date of births, nothing like that. No addresses, no phone numbers. They can get that information and they try it because a lot of people use that information. That's it on cybersecurity part one. That's all I got.
I have a couple of questions for you.
Let's go.
Just personally, because they're things that our clients ask, and I want to see what your input is on this too. We may have differing opinions. That's awesome. So, thoughts on Password Genie? Do you know that company?
I do not. Never heard of
Okay.
it, but there are several out there.
That one was one to look at. Also, so this is really awful. I've heard this recently from several clients. It's so awful. Just had to mention, make sure you don't ever put your credit card in a pic, an email, phone, text, that lovely cloud we talk about. Yeah, people think that things are lost or disappear. No, it's forever. Forever. And the same thing with your social security. If you are putting a picture or an email in with your social security number or with a credit card number, you are just open season, dude. It is not that time of year. Don't get the gun out. You're just setting yourself up for failure on that one. And also, between Wes, his company, Blue Tack IT, and your web guys, we deal with servers all the time. We have clients that are lawyers, that are doctors, that have personal, confidential, private patients. So we have that extra TLC that we put in there. That is why Wes is number one on our list, because that information, if it's leaked and if it's not secure cyberly, and that's not really a word, but if it's not secure on the cyber end, and not just on the equipment end for him, but if you don't have cybersecurity or pirate or terrorist insurance, and you're a business owner and you have personal information, you may not think you do. Everyone has personal information. Then always treat it like it's your very own and protect everyone that you know. It is a business. You will lose everything. Make sure that you are keeping everyone else's information confidential. So, hiring someone that is not knowledgeable like Wes or like your web guys, because we have several servers in different areas, not in one spot. We have backups, and they're all not in one spot for a reason, not because we are being sketchy. It's so that if something happens to one, then we've got another facility. If it happens to that one, then we've got the other facility. We do backups that are cloud based, mirror. There are lots of different backups that we do. Please make sure that the companies you deal with, if you're not dealing with Wes or with please, please, please think about your security and make sure to ask these questions. Make sure that you have a secure server and not one that your information is just floating out of nowhere. I don't
Yep.
know where those other companies are putting the information for your company, which is your livelihood.
Yep.
I want to keep you safe. So does Wes. Um, and just wanted to make sure that you guys thought about that when that servers are such a big deal.
Yep. And we have a question that came in, and the question is, what clues can you look for if you're having cybersecurity issues? All right, that is very hard to answer because there's so many different issues out there. The number one issue I have seen is that everything seems to be running slower than it was before, and you start getting random tabs opening up that you didn't know you opened up, or instead of going to google.com, it redirects you to another website in your browser. That usually means there's something going on. And the scary thing is there could be a Chrome plugin that has been hacked. I mean, or there could be an app that they uploaded that wasn't tested and secured, and it's malicious and it's downloading all your information. One of the things you can look at is, which this is kind of more advanced, but you can look at your task manager and see what traffic is going out of your internet. Um, just for an example, I had a client that, for some odd reason, I'm monitoring her network. I noticed something weird was going on a Sunday night at 3 a.m. Well, she works Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Well, for some odd reason, I noticed that there was an Xbox on her network. That office doesn't have an Xbox. So I was able to go in and say, okay, this person's logging into their guest network on the weekend. Let's just turn their guest network off on the weekend. Then we don't have that problem. Well, I did that. And then I noticed that the Xbox was back on the network, plugged back in. Like, well, how are they doing that? Well, unbeknownst to anybody, they had a RJ45, which is your internet port, on the outside of their building that was plugged in to their network. Well, the kid that lived across the street from the office was taking a 200-foot Ethernet cable and running it and plugging it into the back of the building. If I wasn't monitoring that network, we wouldn't have known that was going on. Yeah, he wasn't doing anything malicious, but he was still using their internet bandwidth. That was easy peasy for me to fix. I just unplugged the port, turned it off, never had another problem. So those are some of the things that you can look for and to test out and all of that. But that's all that I have in cybersecurity in part one. You'll have to tune in Saturday for part two.
And when is that, Wes?
That is a good question. At 10:30.
Well,
in the
you're
morning
at 10:30, but it'll start at 10 o'clock, and registration is at 9:30. So we'll actually do informal networking. We'll have catering. Wes is going to bring in the message about part two of cybersecurity. Then we've actually got Kristen Foman talking about checking your financial risk and what the tolerances for your business. And we also have Jennifer Marcus talking about the positives and negatives on expenses for your bookkeeping and where you might be able to save some money. And Richard will do a website health check. The catered lunch is brought to you by an amazing friend, the Creole Cowboy, Daniel Hudson and Sabria Hudson. You guys probably know them and have seen them for a couple of years. They've been really good friends. We've been trying to get them in as caterers, and they've got a fire roasted tomato soup, roasted chicken, herb buttered, and handmade rolls, fresh salad. Of course, we'll have desserts and drinks. And if you have questions to ask the pros, Wes will be there. I'll be there. I'll have headshots if you need updates. Wes will have info on the IT. Richard will have website health check. Jennifer can go over your book questions. finances, Kristen. We have 7 different pros that will be there. There will be different attendees each time, and we only have 1 day left. So make sure you go on Business Accelerator. So www.dfwbusinessaccelerator.com and put in the discount code B2B2022 so that you can pay $39 for your ticket right now as the early bird special. Otherwise, there is an additional fee whenever you go Saturday. It's 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and it is 4099 McEwen over here in Farmers Branch. We're staying really close, so we're not far. Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, definitely. Guys, see you next week. Same time, same place. Comment below, questions below. Anything you want to give us tips on, want us to cover, feel free to reach out. Just let us know. And we will see you guys next week.
Don't forget, if you don't write in the comments what you want to hear about, then Wes and I will just talk on and on.
Yeah, for an hour.
We're full of information.
Yes, we are. All right, guys. See you next week.